All right, here we are, SAT 22 for week 4, and we have a student produced response question instead of the traditional multiple choice. Let's take a look. An aquarium has a rectangular base that measures 100 centimeters by 40 centimeters and it has a height of 50 centimeters. It's filled with water to a height of 40 centimeters, so we can see it's not all the way to the top. A brick with a rectangular base that measures 40 centimeters by 20 centimeters and a height of 10 centimeters is placed into the aquarium. Splash, whoosh. By how many centimeters does the water rise? So with these student produced response questions, make sure you follow the instructions. Take a second to get familiar with the instructions on how you're supposed to type in your answer. I know it was a lot of text. It was brutal to have to read, right? But one of the things it says is don't include units or symbols in your actual answer. Here's what happens when we do. So here's the chart that was produced by our Google form. And whenever there were so many, you can see some people had centimeters in here, some people had centimeters without a little space, some people had CMS or something like that. And it created so many different response types. It was impossible to read this chart. So I redid this chart by stripping away all the units and all of those symbols and stuff. It's a little bit easier to read here. And you can see that the vast majority of people said 2 centimeters. So 91 out of the 117 responses. Let's see, that is 91 divided by 117. It's about 78-ish% of us thought it was 2 centimeters. Again, that was the correct answer. Most common incorrect answer, it looks like, not by much. Oh, it's either 10 or 8,000. 10, not sure where that's coming from. The 8,000, I think that's the volume of the brick itself. Okay, so we thought difficulty-wise, this looks like it's somewhere around the medium level, maybe skewed a little bit towards the easier side. So let's take a look at the actual solution. So I would suggest maybe sketching a picture of what's going on here. We need a aquarium that's basically a rectangular prism here. And it's not all the way filled with water. I think that this question is a subtle callback to the old Archimedes story. And the story there was that Archimedes was tasked by the king to figure out whether or not a crown that he was given by some artisan was made of gold because he suspected it was counterfeit. And Archimedes at first didn't know how to do that. I mean, this is in ancient times here, so like they didn't have the same kind of equipment that we have these days. So one day he was taking a bath, and when he was taken into a bath, he like when he stepped into the bathtub, the water level rose, and he had it. Like he shouted "Eureka" and started running through the streets, butt naked, because he had figured it out. And it's sort of like what's going on in this question here. So we've got water that's partially filled. Whoa, wait, what are the dimensions here? This is 100 centimeters by 40 centimeters by 50, but we're not using the entire 50. It says that the water's only going up to 40 here. Okay, so I'm going to put some water in here, give this like a little bit of realism, and then maybe shade it. Should you take all of this time whenever you're doing the actual SAT? Sure, you've got plenty of time, right? No, of course not. But, I'm making a video and I want it to look pretty. And I also like to color, so I'm coloring it. Beep, 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 beep. And wait, but there's more. I'm going to darken this part. Oh, yeah. Okay, so you can kind of visualize the water sloshing around in there. Okay, and now we have ourselves a brick. Bricks are red, of course, and this brick is also basically a rectangular prism. And we're going to add this brick to, where's the eraser? Let's make this more convincing. And it gets shaded too. Yeah, red brick. Maybe even put an Acme logo on the side because you've got plenty of time to do all of that kind of stuff when you're taking the SAT. Let's see, our brick is 40 by 20 on the bottom, 40 by 20, and it has a height of 10 centimeters. Okay, and then we're going to take this guy, we're going to chunk it right into the tank, and when it does, the water's going to rise up. It's going to rise up by, well, not the height is not going to rise up by the amount of the volume. However, the volume of the stuff that's in the tank is going to rise up by the combination of both the water and the brick. So here, let me just add a little extra height to this water here. and we'll make it green. Wow, I don't know why the water turned green, but maybe there was something gross on that brick. Okay, so what we're having to figure out here is basically how much did it go up? I'm going to maybe call that H. So the idea is to find the volume of the brick and the volume of the tank. And then we're going to add those two things together. So the volume of the brick, this is just a rectangular prism. So you can do area of the base times the height, which is just length times width times height. So we've got 40 times 20 times 10. So 40 times 20 is 800 times 10 is 8,000. So I think that's where that 8,000 that some of us thought the answer was supposed to be came from. Okay, and then we're going to add that to the volume of the water that's in the tank, not the full volume of the whole entire tank, but just the water that's in there, which is same exact shape, same exact formula. Again, it's area of the base times the height, which same thing as length times width times height because it's a rectangular prism. So 100 times 40 times another 40. Okay, 40 times 40, I think that's 1600. And then we're going to multiply that by 100, which just basically adds two zeros to the end of this. So this is 160,000. All right, and we're adding these two things together to get the volume of basically the combination of the water and the brick together. So our new volume is basically the volume of the brick plus the volume of our water. Adding those two things together, I get 8,000 plus 160,000 for a total of 168,000. And I would have suspected that some people would maybe write that as an answer, but not a single person did. Okay, well that's nice. Okay, now how do I figure out how high this thing actually rose? Well, let's focus on this volume of the new that's over here on the left-hand side. We're going to use that to write ourselves an equation. So to find the volume of the new, it's still basically a rectangular prism. Its base is going to be 100 times 40, and then its height is going to be, well, I'm not sure. I'll just call it, I know I'm calling this piece 8x, but I'm going to simplify this, call it question mark, and then say the whole entire height is just h. That way I won't have to do any kind of complicated distributive property or anything like that. Okay, so I'm going to find the volume of this new rectangular prism as, again, area of the base times the height. So volume of the new is 100 times 40, and then times this new h. And all of this should be equal to 168,000 right there. Okay, now multiplying 40 times 100, again, just adds two zeros to the end of that, which is 4,000. And I can basically, sure, I could just reach for the calculator on this, or I can basically divide by 10, canceling out these zeros. Can't divide by 10 again, divide by 10 again, cancel out these zeros. It makes the problem just slightly faster. 4h is equal to 168. And now all I have to do is divide by 4. And it goes in evenly, so 4 goes into 16 4 times, none left over. 4 goes into 8 2 times. And so our height here is 42 centimeters. If I'm not mistaken, I think some of us answered 42 centimeters. That's the wrong thing. Let's see, 42. One person did. Okay, however, 42 was not the answer that we were looking for because we wanted to know how far did the height of the water actually rise. So what I have to do to get the height of the water, actually the difference is just take that away from the 40 that's already here. So we've got that this is 42, the height of the water, the new height of the water, take away the 40, and I can see that obviously the water rose by 2 green centimeters. So our final answer here is 2 centimeters, but whenever you type in your answer, please don't put the centimeters. Just put 2. If you put 2.0, it actually will take it. Now, as far as the the typing of the answer goes, I'm not entirely sure if they will disable like the letters on the keyboard, but just be safe. Make sure that you're reading the instructions and typing in the answer exactly how they want you to format it.